fans or people loved him so much for no good reason. He was an average to poor quarterback.
And Doug, you and I talked a couple weeks ago. His rushing numbers were almost better than his passing numbers.
Yeah.
I have always said that when he was with the Falcons, that if you stop him from running wild on you, you beat the Falcons, point blank.
Yeah.
You contain Michael Vick, you beat them. And that's...
Yeah, because Vick was never going to beat you with his arm.
I don't think he's ever won a game where he threw for like 300 yards and a couple touchdowns.
But I think he could be a good running back, possibly a good slot receiver.
Here's the thing. On my team, I would be okay with him coming back as like experimental, like slash type of player.
Mm-hmm.
Running, throwing, catching, the whole deal, like Cordell Stewart was in like mid-90s or late 90s, whatever it was.
Short period of time over there at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and he not going to like that. Oh, another thing that bugs me too, it is not a race thing that I think he's a poor quarterback. It's not because he's black.
Oh, Lord, no.
It's because he's a poor quarterback.
He had the wrong mentality. He had a run-first mentality, and as a quarterback, you have to be a throw-first mentality.
People, I saw this was on ESPN on Monday that there were these two black radio hosts, Ryan and Doug Stewart, and they were basically saying that if you think, they were telling, I should take the words out of their mouth or say they directly said this, but the implication was that if you think he shouldn't be a quarterback when he comes back, it's racism, and I say no, it's not. He was a poor quarterback. I don't think he should be a quarterback.
Yeah, look at his QB rating; it wasn't that great.
Yeah, and he's not, and I don't think he's. People are also, the other argument is, don't box him into being a drop back passer. Drop back passers work in the NFL.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you throw first, run second, you can succeed. If you run first, throw second, you're not going to succeed.
And you can throw first and not hardly run at all and succeed. Look at Tom Brady.
Yeah, the argument about don't box him into a drop back passer, to me that's a little ridiculous. There's a happy medium, and he was not even. I wouldn't even say he was a passer. I mean, there's a happy medium. I'm trying to think of a really good example of somebody that's quite mobile but is actually a really good passer. I can't think of any good examples off the top of my head. Can you guys think of something?
Well, I can go back.
McNabb.
Thank you.
I can go back for a few years,
too. That's what I was going to say.
Randall
Fran
Cunningham.
Tarkington.
Oh, Tarkington, yeah, he was too. Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon were both excellent throwers and runners.
That's the best quarterback. Because interestingly enough, arguably two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL today, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, I wouldn't say are that mobile, really.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Oh, it's scary when they get out to the pocket.
Actually, one thing, and
except for when Brady's running around Brian Urlacher, because he can juke him out.
That was probably the funniest play I've ever seen in the NFL. That Tom Brady faked out Brian Urlacher. How wrong was that?
Sorry, Chris.
I'd have hated to have been Urlacher watching film in that room that Monday.
No,
I guarantee you
as great as those passers are, and as much as I love the Patriots and Tom Brady, he can get a little crazy when he is put under pressure and has to be forced out of the pocket. But so I just think that there's a happy medium, and the fact that people want to say that the whole don't box him into a drop back pass.
And Vic was a quarterback who, when the pass play came in from the sidelines, you could almost hear the wheels turning. How am I going to not find an open receiver so I can run with the ball?
Well, part of that is, and I can actually say this, like when you're playing like Madden, like in the video game, like I've almost always had a very slow drop back passer. Well, there was one game I had, I drafted Vince Young to be my quarterback, and he could run, and it was fun. And the problem was there were some times I was actually went into a play, it was a pass play, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to run the ball here with with Vince Young. You can't go into a pass play thinking that, or else it's going to all fall apart.
It's not a pass play then.
It's
a running play disguised as a pass play.
Every time I did that, it did not work. Now there were plenty of times I was not planning on running, and I would run back and forth, left and right, trying to get them to think I was going to run, and then that works. But that's not what Michael Vick did. When he takes off, everybody knows he was taking off. Yeah, the best thing a running quarterback can do is actually just extend the play.
Yep.
And you see that.
If you can buy yourself a little time back there, run around a little bit just to wait for somebody to come open.
Yeah, and hell, the non-athletic quarterbacks do that.
Right.
Or you have a guy like Tony Romo who's kind of athletic, kind of not, but he can run around
Ben
like
Roethlisberger.
crazy.
That's what I was
Roethlisberger,
thinking.
who's just huge.
Yeah, he's a big guy. It's hard to take him down, so he's going to buy a little time just with his size.
Well, he has to because his offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben. It's true. They suck.
Yeah. He did spend way too much time on his back last year.
Yeah, he took a beating last year. We're digressing.
Yes, we've left the NFL.
Yeah. Well, and And this kind of reminds me, we kind of skipped something too, which we should talk about real fast. In terms of legal issues, we forgot. We skipped over Jeremy Mayfield again, because there is more. The Mayfield story has grown since last week, and you didn't even know this. I told you this yesterday, and you were like, "Why are we talking about Mayfield?" Well, the reason why we're talking about Mayfield
then I did a little research,
is because he found out, or he comes out and says, "They never told me who I tested positive
Saturday
for."
at the All-Star race in an area he wasn't supposed to be in because he is suspended indefinitely.
Yeah. he says they did not tell me what I tested positive for, and he was considering legal action pretty much. And even more so, the guy that called BS on him the first time, saying that it's not over. It wasn't.
Dr. Black, yep.
Yeah, Dr. Black said, "No, we told you."
I told him specifically what he tested positive for. I told him several times. Now, what we're really talking about here is Jeremy has not received the official paperwork from NASCAR that shows exactly what he tested positive for. He's been told verbally, but he hasn't gotten it in writing. So in his mind, well, he hasn't really been told because it's not on paper.
I hope that's not the case, because first of all, that's annoying.
Splitting hairs.
On his part, it is, and then it's stupid by NASCAR's legal department to not get him that paperwork.
Right.
They're not covering. They're not tying up loose ends.
I think NASCAR does need to be a little more open with their policy. At the very least,
they need to tell the drivers.
They need to tell the other drivers. Right. Even if they don't necessarily come public to us the fans, they need to tell these other guys that these guys are racing with, okay, this is what he tested positive for. Do they really need to be concerned about him if he comes back out on the track?
And they let him on the track after they found out he tested positive.
Right. So how big of a deal could it really be of what he tested positive for?
I think that's the most damning thing in all this for NASCAR.
Well, and if we come to find out that the big reason that he's suspended is because he took Claritin D as he claims.
Oh, God.
NASCAR has really stepped in it at that point.
Mm-hmm. And they can't afford to after the whole Marsha Grant lawsuit and everything.
Oh, that's a fact.
Or so.
That's a fact.
Sorry, Chris, I know we're talking over you. You were getting ready to say something.
No, I was just going to say, and it's still true that they don't have a list.
They have no published list?
They have not given the drivers a list. They have a list, though.
Okay, we talked last week, and I think we brought this up last week.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the drug policy, and you watched the show.
I think we all.
Absolutely.
I think we all.
No room for it.
We all agree that it is.
Absolutely.
A very positive thing in NASCAR.
But what I completely and utterly could not disagree with more. I could not disagree with more. Is how are you gonna if you're a driver, how am I gonna say to you that there's a substance list that you cannot take, but I'm not gonna. How is that okay?
Was it Elliott Sadler that had the like 4 or 5 weeks ago? Had the kidney stone. Was it Elliott or somebody else?
Martin Truex.
No,
Martin Truex Jr. Had the kidney stones. He passed the night before a race and couldn't take any pain medication because
they would not clear him to race if he did.
Right, and passing a kidney stone, man, that's incredibly painful stuff.
Well, and then there was this topic of Biffle with his rib injury that he had something his doctor couldn't guarantee him it wouldn't.
So he took
else.
Nothing. Yeah,
he took ibuprofen.
You both know I'm not the smartest person out there. But what I Doug's laughing. Thanks, Doug. What I don't understand is how are they justifying not giving the legal drivers a list of what they can't take? I don't understand.
Puts them in control, and if there's something that comes up that is kind of borderline, but they don't like it, they can take it.
And NASCAR's always in control.
Yeah.
It is their show. Yeah. You don't like it, they'll take their ball and go home. You don't have to play.
Which is why there's not a drivers' union.
Yeah.
There probably should be at this point, though. If think of it like this: there's a drivers' union. I guarantee you they have a list.
Oh, absolutely.
I guarantee.
Or nobody hits the track and NASCAR has no show.
Yeah.
But without a union, NASCAR says, "What the heck with you? You don't want to, get in line with us? Don't show up. We'll let somebody else go out there and race."
I don't think that's right.
I'm curious.
I love NASCAR, but I don't think that's right at all.
I think the thing about that, though, is that technically won't work as well today as it did in 1969 or whatever it was they tried it, or 66. Because in 66, it was a lot easier, I think, to get to a track with a car. You know, you show up at a track with a car.
And you did not have the media attention that you have today.
But you do that today, and who's going to show up, really? And ARCA drivers, can they make it? Can they afford to travel down to California because NASCAR said, screw all the regular drivers, you're not allowed in now anymore?
Yeah.
Actually, I think the drivers could very easily unionize right now if they wanted to. They just, I guess everybody's okay with it because it's always been like that. But the big question is, Mayfield does take legal action. Does he win? Does it work?
Remains to be seen.
I didn't know.
The law is such a strange beast.
Yeah, who knows? If the fact that they, like you said, the fact that they didn't give him the paperwork, who knows?
I'm going to say it this way: if NASCAR has paperwork that shows the results, and Dr. Black and other witnesses, other doctors can verify his claims that Mayfield's claims are BS, Mayfield does not